To Dr Imtiaz Sooliman, the founder of the Gift of the Givers Foundation. It's a disaster response organization. Dr Imtiaz joins us from Johannesburg. Always great to see you. Look, before I ask you about what the possible repercussions of moving more than 1 million people are, can you tell us, Doctor, about what you've been hearing from Gaza, from aid organizations that you have contact with, whether the Gift for the Givers is even there in the enclave?
Good evening. We are in Gaza. We've been there since 2013. Our first intervention was in 2009. Subsequently, we established an office in 2013. November 16 last year, the head of our office, Al-maghazi, was deliberately killed by Israeli forces. His brother was also killed on the way back from morning prayer from mosque. In addition to that, my team members have lost 175 family members inside Gaza. But our operations have expanded. We've reached to many areas as best as we can, but nothing comparable to what we could do under normal circumstances. There's no vehicles, there's no fuel, there's no capacity, logistics to deliver. Your reporter earlier said that people did not move from the north. He's right. There's several 100,000 people that stayed on in the north who refused to move. We get calls from them all the time asking for assistance. 48 hours ago, we managed to get some aid into the north of Gaza, but it's very, very difficult. You know, the figures that we have of people being hungry and dying, it's far more than that. You're getting figures from those that are visible in the camps, in the schools, in those centers, but we don't have the figures from those in the houses, in the buildings who have not come out or are afraid to come out. So the figures in terms of hunger and malnutrition is far higher than is mentioned. And of course, the disease and infection that spread throughout the Gaza is far higher than figures stated. Basically, in a situation like this, who's got time to go and count all the people? You're all worried about survival, about existence, about getting aid in, about assisting as best you can. The figures are going to be grossly changed by the time the facts come out and the war comes to an end.
Doctor, you said that the head of your bureau in Gaza and his brother were deliberately killed by Israeli forces. For the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees, that's 165 of its staff members killed since October the 7th, more than 150 of its facilities being hit. How is that happening? Why is it happening, actually, should be the question. Why is Israel targeting aid workers?
Well, you know, the world body has protected them. You know, the Western governments have protected them. This is a rogue state, a terrorist state run by the terrorist Netanyahu and his terrorist cabinet. They're protected by America, by certain Western nations, by Zionist media, by big corporations that fund them and support them. So they can act with impunity and do what they want as they want. In other situations, when there's crisis like that, the world nations are very quick to send in military, to bring peace, to allow aid to be delivered, to make sure aid comes in and aid is delivered. In this issue of protecting Israel, it's only about debates, discussions, meetings, putting a temporary port in Gaza, when the options are open. The options have always been there from the Rafah side with all those crossings. 900 trucks a day could easily go into Gaza with no issue whatsoever. But being protected as a rogue state and a terrorist state by its friends in America and in Europe, Israel is getting away with what it wants to do. But there is a spiritual aspect to that. You see, we have a teaching that truth always conquers falsehood. And the lies have been exposed and will continue to be exposed. And the falsehood, the traitor, those who committed genocide will never win. In fact, Israel has already lost this war. Netanyahu, in your clip a few minutes ago, just said that this has been their fastest victory. He's delusional. In 6 days, they took the war in 3 countries, Egypt, Syria, and Jordan, in 6 days. In 159 days, they can't defeat a resistance movement. This is not a war. They're not fighting an army. There's no planes in Gaza. There's no naval forces. There's no artillery. There's no tanks. There's no heavy missiles. It's the whole army with 600,000 reservists, with support from Western nations and Western capitals, with their bombs and their money, can't defeat a small group of resistance. This is a disgrace on him and on his nation of terrorists.
What are your greatest fears if the Israelis were to forcibly displace, as they say, a significant amount of the 1.5 million people who are currently in Rafah and send them to the center of the Strip?
There are no fears anymore. It's obvious. They're on a mission to kill people. They want to eradicate 2.3 million people. So there are no fears. We've already passed that stage. We know they are fully intent on killing people, unarmed, defenseless civilians. They started off by cutting off water, electricity, fuel, blockade, going to hospitals, disconnect incubators. The game plan is obvious. It is mass murder at a scale in front of the whole world's eyes to do what they want to do with impunity. So yes, many more thousands will die. Many more thousands will be caught up under rubble, if there's any more rubble left. Many more thousands will be wounded. There will not be medical personnel to take care of them. Most of the in the experience, intellectual capacity is being killed or destroyed or kidnapped or missing. The intellectual capacity of doctors is all gone because there's all the main people have been killed or moved away. There won't be people to take care of the injured. So they'll either die from direct shooting, from injuries, from hunger, from diarrhea, from chest infection. Many of them will be mentally, psychologically affected. They'll be non-functional. The old and the elderly will die. Depression, all those things will kill a lot of people. But in spite of all that, I still say they will be victorious.
Dr. Imtiaz Sooliman, thank you so much indeed for sharing your thoughts with us.